Sky sources have revealed that Jamal Khashoggi's body parts have apparently been found. We know that the Turkish authorities were looking in a forest area on the outskirts of Istanbul for these body parts, and that apparently something has been found. In the last couple of hours, we heard from the Turkish President Erdogan, who pointed the finger very, very clearly at the Saudi authorities and said that he had a number of questions that he wanted the Saudi authorities to answer. In the last couple of moments, Saudi Arabia has said that it will hold account those responsible for Khashoggi's killings, whoever they are. This is according to the Saudi king. Well, let's cross to our correspondent Alex Crawford, who is in Istanbul. And Alex, tell us about the latest that you found.
Well, we've been speaking to a number of sources, both very well-placed sources within the investigation and also within political circles. And they've been telling us separately, first of all, that Jamal Khashoggi's body parts have been discovered. They had been cut up. I understand there's some fairly grisly detail about how his face had been disfigured somewhat. There is a suggestion from the second source. He is very, very highly placed, as I say, within political circles, and he has connections within the prosecutor's office, that those body parts were discovered in the garden of the Consul General's home. We're just outside the property. The Consul General's property was part of a very big focus of the forensic investigators. They took some time to get into it. More than 2 weeks later, we ourselves witnessed some of those forensic investigators examining the garden. We know that they took soil samples from there and that they were trying to match DNA samples taken of Jamal Khashoggi with samples that they collected inside the Consul General's residence. Other reports suggested, and we know from CCTV footage, that parts of the 15-man so-called Saudi hit squad, there was a lot of movement between the consulate and the Consul General's residence, with vehicles being moved. Particularly, they focused on a number of vehicles which had diplomatic plates and had darkened windows, and which were seen reversing into the back. Behind that security block, there is a garage, a carport. We saw the cars reversing into there, and they then stayed there for a number of hours. The investigators were focusing on what was in the car, what was being transported into the Consul General's residence. According to our sources, in that car, or certainly what was being transported to the Consul General residence, were parts of Jamal Khashoggi's body having been cut up. Now, the line being perpetuated from the Saudis is that the body was rolled up in a rug and handed to a local collaborator. And the Turkish president made a big point of this in his speech earlier today, throwing quite a lot of and hinting at quite a lot of skepticism about whether this local collaborator existed at all, and suggesting that the Saudis needed to give them much more information about who this local collaborator was, so that he and the investigators could be led to the body and the corpse. I understand, so he was directly contradicting what our sources have later told us. To be fair, those sources only revealed that information to us after the president had spoken, and there is a suggestion that perhaps the body parts could have been spread over a number of different addresses. You mentioned earlier that one point of focus was also Belgrade Forest in Istanbul, as well as an address near the Sea of Marmara, which is some distance away, about an hour and a half drive away. We know, according to what President Erdogan said in his address this morning, that an advance party of about 3 Saudis went out and was spotted investigating the forest ahead of Jamal Khashoggi's killing on October the 2nd.